was that like for you as you went from playing to the broadcast booth, but managing your time outside of what you thought your schedule was supposed to be to what it became in today's world for you?
Well, that's just, I mean, you framed that question perfectly, Kevin, because I think there's a bridge of transition, and some bridges are longer than others. For me, I've always known what I wanted to do post baseball, and that's, enter the business community with 2 feet. I always had one foot on, since my early days, my mid-20s, I started my company here at A-Rod Corp. And over the last 10 years, we've been able to really scale it in a more institutional way. But, for me, routine's everything. And for 25 years while playing baseball, you knew everything that was basically, from the time you woke up, the whole day was architected to the time, to the minute, to the second. And that was the toughest part for me post, is you have all this available time. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. And just to bring some discipline around that, I think finally after year 8 of not playing baseball, I think I have a pretty good, I'm in a pretty good place.
So you're a pretty competitive person, obviously, and I think as you talk about the business side of the world, what have been some of the favorite things that you've got to do outside of baseball from a business aspect, things that you were like, probably shouldn't have gotten involved in that? What are your favorite, some of your favorite things that you've been able to embark on as you've gone down the road as a businessman?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Kevin, I was, born in New York City in 1975, raised in Miami, and really, saw my mom collect food stamps at the age of 12. So like I say, I'm playing with the house's money. I feel like I'm one of the luckiest human beings on the planet. I've been able to live out my dream. I've had my 2 dream jobs, is to be a shortstop and a third baseman for baseball, and to be a leader here at my company at A-Rock Corp, and to do it with people that I like, love, and respect. And, through it all, it's never a straight line. Success is never linear, and there's ups and downs. And for us, we've had a lot of success with our NBA, acquisition of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We had a tremendous year this year. Obviously been in the real estate world for over 20 years, and that's had its ups and downs. But over the last 15 years, multifamily has been a very strong sector. And then you get to meet the who's who of, kings, queens. You get to meet all type of business leaders, folks like the Murdochs and people that you read about and study for so many years. And now you're having conversations, or you're having dinners, or you're sharing coffee. It's really quite a thrill, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of it.
What's been the balance for you? We saw that great treat for you at the basketball game with your girls coming to the game. What's it been like to have that balance with your kids, right? Because I fight this with my kids. It's like, okay, what's too much? What's the balance of teaching them? What's the balance of letting them in the spotlight? I try to just live like a normal life and do normal things and make them think that nothing is going on. But now they're getting old enough to understand what you do and what you did. And how has that been for you with you and your family, and how you've tried to balance all that?
It's hard to balance, to be honest with you. I mean, now I have a 19-year-old that's a rising sophomore at the University of Michigan. And then my youngest one is a rising junior in high school here in Miami. And I think it's pretty clear what the balance is. I never think is enough, and they always think is too much. So we try to find the midpoint a little bit on that. But they're always my priority. And like you mentioned, game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, my other daughter, my youngest daughter, Ella, surprised me with Natasha showing up in the game, and it shocked the crap out of me, to be honest with you.
That's great.
If you see the video, you see my expression. But those are the things that life's all about, and the fact that they get to spend that much time and think about surprising daddy was pretty cool moment for all of us.
Well, since we're on the subject of kids, and I think with professional sports, we've seen a lot of the things that are great about our sports, baseball for you and obviously racing for me. But I think it's hard to explain to parents who haven't been on the side of being a professional and following all the way through, who are new to racing, for example, of what the right path is for their kids. How have you seen that path change for kids trying to come up through playing baseball as a young child, through college, on through to be a professional? And what do you think about that path in today's world with how committed kids and parents are to just playing one sport?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's too much too soon. I mean, I'm maybe a little bit too old school for this question, but I'm a big believer that when you're in, elementary, junior high, and even high school, the more sports, the better. I think each sport brings a different dimension of lessons. It builds different part of your character. As an example, football for me made me tougher, made me stronger. I never thought in hindsight that being a quarterback and being a point guard would help me as a shortstop, whether that's leadership or the way you look at the game. So for me, the more sports, the better. And it's interesting, 90% of kids today are quitting on the ride home with their parents. And as parents, we should be able to look at that data point and say, what are we doing wrong? What can we change? And one of the things is really just changing the conversation is, are you following your passion? Did you work hard? Did you feel good about your preparation versus did you win? Did you hit a home run? What's your batting average? So as parents, we have an opportunity to spread the good word, but also encourage them more in the process and not so much results, and keep it fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the hardest part is when you're in the moment and trying to have fun with it.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News content and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.